Android and iPhone users, for the full version of WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market, search WFO Radio, and download it now.
All right, time to get to know one of the fresh young faces of NHRA drag racing. Joining us now will be driving top fuel for Bob Vandergriff Racing in 2019 on the NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series. Jordan Vandergriff joins us now. Jordan, welcome to WFO Radio for the first time. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you, Joe? Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, I'm thrilled. Now, we have shared a broadcast booth once before in the past. You and Krista Baldwin came upstairs, and we kind of hung out together and called a little racing action. I think it was during the Top Alcohol Dragster category, if memory serves me correctly. But this is the first time you've been on the WFO podcast, so thank you for coming on. And this is big news. You're going Top Fuel Racing. How excited are you?
I'm super excited. I can't wait to get testing started out in Phoenix here in a few days, and I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I'm ready to go.
All right, let's get into that. I want to do like a general background questionnaire. So first of all, some people, and even me, I had misidentified you as Bob's kid once early on. You're actually Bob's nephew.
I am Bob's nephew, yes. My Uncle Bob is my father's older brother. My father is Kevin Vandergriff, so shout out Kevin Vandergriff.
Kevin Vandergriff. What's up, Kevin? Good job with Jordan. Now, your drag racing background, were you, interested and into drag racing from the outset as a kid coming up? Your uncle has been involved in the sport heavily. What about your dad? Give me some of those threads to how drag racing was loved, perceived, from your side of the family.
Yeah, of course. So growing up with my dad first, to be honest, I mean, he helps run Headman Headers, a company that my grandfather owns as well. So growing up, we were introduced to cars and racing at a young age, obviously with my uncle racing ever since I was born. So I grew up going to the racetrack and hanging out in the pits and with my uncle and learning and taking in the sights and the smells and the feels, and there's nothing quite like it, and I knew that from a young age. And one of my favorite things to do was go to the racetrack and watch my uncle run and hang out with him. And so, growing up, it was just a staple of my life, and I can't imagine it not being in my life.
So you are an NHRA. Some say like track rats. Kids that grew up at the racetrack.
Yeah, of course. I would go to Pomona and Sonoma. I look forward to Sonoma every year too because I'm from California originally, so. Sonoma was my favorite race as a kid because we take a family trip up north, and that track is beautiful, and yeah, I loved it.
That is awesome. Now, that is great, a great background. Where were you when your Uncle Bob ran backwards from the finish line back to the starting line? Like, do you remember that? Was that like a seminal moment? Did you think he was nuts for doing it?
I do remember that. I was a kid, and my dad had told me that, Uncle Bob won, and obviously I was ecstatic, and I didn't see the video right away, but when I saw the video, I thought, wow, he just pure elation coming out of my uncle, I mean, that was a move that was done from pure, just joy and happiness. And it was pretty cool for me to see. And I think it was cool for the fans too. I mean, that's something he's remembered by.
That is, and there are so few racers that have things like that aren't necessarily directly connected to driving, things that they do. That's something that your uncle, and maybe to his detriment now, because that's his thing, but that's something he's known for.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, nobody else has done it, so he's one of a kind for sure. There
you go. Now, what about driving? Like, when did you start thinking, man, I want to get in one of these things? Did you do junior dragsters? Did you, bracket race? Have you, give me some of your track experience prior to running an A-Fuel dragster, obviously, last year.
Well, to tell you the truth, growing up, I never did junior dragsters. My parents tried to keep me out of it for some reason, I guess. I think my mother was scared that this would eventually happen, but it happened anyways. So
sorry, Mom.
Yeah, my mom, she's coming around. She's coming around. So I grew up playing a lot of team sports. I played baseball growing up all the way through high school. So my first introduction to really racing was obviously watching my uncle race, but then at some point a few years ago, I went to Frank Holly's and got my super comp license and learned a lot from Frank. He's obviously one of the legends of the sport. So it started there, and then I graduated up to the Nitro University and Anthony DeSeo Racing with Krista Baldwin and got that A Fuel license and ran A Fuel last year. So really, I mean, I'm still sort of a newcomer, which is kind of crazy to me, but I'm ready for this opportunity ahead.
Oh, I can't wait to get into that, because first of all, the sport needs it. Like, the sport needs young, fresh faces with enthusiasm, and you fit the bill perfectly. And I've seen you out there, working on the car, like doing everything you got to do to learn as much as you possibly can. I want to get into that, but let's keep going, because your uncle is known as, he's an athletic guy. He's an athlete. He can play golf. He can drive golf ball very well. When we had the big NHRA versus NASCAR softball game that he helped put together for charity, he was one of the best athletes on the field. You talked about playing baseball. So to me, there are parallels. Even though driving, you're seated in the car, there are many aspects that you can pull from the competitive past that you've had.
Of course, yeah. Uncle Bob is very athletic. He is a very good golfer. He's actually very good at all sports. So growing up, I used to hear stories of him back in high school. He was the all-star, the all state basketball player, and my dad's friends would tell me stories about him and how he did this and that. And I look up to him a lot. I try to emulate him. I mean, why not? He's really done everything you can think of, and he's a good role model to look after.
That is great stuff. All right, now jumping behind the wheel of an A Fuel car. You mentioned Frank Hawley. Frank and the Drag Racing School have been a big sponsor of WFO for a long time, and we're always telling people to go do that Dragster adventure, because that will give them the taste. 100%. That'll give them the taste.
Yep. It's a blast, and Frank is great, and yes, I highly recommend it.
And it set you forth on this career, but there's a big difference in a super comp car and an A Fuel car. I love speaking with young racers who can, use their enthusiasm to explain to those of us who don't get that opportunity what it is like to drop the hammer on something with 4,000 horsepower, and then we'll move up to Top Fuel. So, tell me about that experience going through the Nitro University with Anthony and like gaining that experience.
Yeah, so we went to Vegas to make my first few hits with Anthony, and I had studied. He gave me a sheet. I had studied the procedures, and you really don't know what to expect. You just have to prepare yourself and be ready for the hit, and you go out and do everything right. You burn out, back up, and focus on what you're doing. But nothing will prepare you for when you whack the throttle and that thing takes off, because there's really nothing else like it. I mean, just like Top Fuel cars, quickest accelerating cars on the planet. So there's really nothing like it. Nothing can prepare you for it. All I know is that things were whizzing by pretty quick.
Well, I can imagine. And that brings us to end of last year, big announcement that you're going to be running a schedule. And if I recall correctly, it's like 19 races. How many races do you have like locked in for the 2019 season?
So 19, I wish. It's not 19. Right now we have 20 locked, or not 20, sorry. There you go. I wish it was 22. But no, we have 12 locked in right now.
12 races locked in.
Yep, we're looking at 12 right now. And, and we're going to take one race at a time and see if we can't add on to that. I mean, it could very well end up being 16 to 20 if the money comes through. Well,
that's what we're talking about. And you actually had some big sponsor announcements with DA Lubricants, Pengrade coming on, and a very cool announcement. Like, you guys went out to their, I want to say the word factory, but mothership, wherever that there is their base of operations. Kind of cool bringing Pengrade into the sport of drag racing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we went out and headed out to their headquarters to do this big unveil, great honor to have DA Lubricant Company and Pengrade High Performance Oil come on board with us and And yeah, it's really cool to bring them into the sport. And I think this partnership was going to last for many years to come.
That is cool. You not only have to get used to, driving the car and all of those responsibilities, but now you're representing a big sponsor. That's a big responsibility.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it is. I mean, I grew up watching my uncle, with UPS and C&J, and now it's crazy to me because I do represent these companies, and I want to put my best face forward and represent them to the best of my ability.
I remember watching the Jersey's car, like way back in the day. That was a great car that uncle. He's so good at
Jersey's car.
He's so good at bringing in this particular sponsor, DA Lubricants and Pengrade Oil. That's not necessarily non-endemic, meaning not related to automotive. It is, but he's very good at bringing in, like when UPS was on board. That was very good for the sport. He's got a knack for that, not so much with Pengrade, but with Tim Brown. That was very exciting to see Tim at the track, and I wondered, is Bob going to be able to I don't want to use the word convince, but I guess that's ultimately what happens, to get Tim Brown to be out and part of our drag racing community on a more regular basis, and it happened.
Yeah. So Tim Brown, Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner, is on board with us as well with his company, 81 Logistics Group. And it's crazy to me too. I mean, this guy has accomplished so much and one of the greatest football players of all time, and he's taken an interest in our sport, which is great for our sport and what we need. Tim Brown, it was an honor to meet him, and it's an honor to do business with him this year.
Now, is that his full name, Tim Brown, Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner? Like, is that said every time we mention Tim? Just because I want to know.
It's funny you mentioned that because I thought the same thing. I was like, you know what? Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's his full name. It's added on to his name. It has to go.
It has to go. It makes sense. You know what I mean? And I'm happy to do it. So I just want to get it right. Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner. Got it. Now, all right. Have you made runs in the Top Fuel car yet?
Yes. So I made 3 runs in the Top Fuel car in Vegas after the Vegas race in was it October this last year. So made 3, kind of got my feet wet. Still need to finish my license. We're going to go to Phoenix here at the Phoenix test next week and finish up my license there. And then we should be good for the year.
All right. Tell me about those 3 runs and the impression and the elevation from A Fuel, which we know is super quick and fast and a beast that is beyond most drivers' abilities, to what you experienced in those 3 runs. Do your best to explain.
Yeah, so in the alcohol dragster, it's like I said before, it's quick and it'll get your attention and it's no joke. But when you go up to the Top Fuel level and you whack a throttle on one of those, it's I'm gonna say it's almost the same, but it's a little more violent. I'd say it's a little more violent. It sticks you back in the seat a little bit more, and it gets going just like way quicker than the alcohol car does. So it was a good experience. It was good for me to get a few little whacks on it and get used to it and kind of have something to think about and in preparation for my next runs. So yeah, it was great. It was fun. I can't wait to do it again. Very exciting
for you. And it's so great for the sport. And recently it has been announced that you will have a couple of, rotating teammates, Sean Reed, Josh Hart, joining Team BVR. And that's the Twitter handle, by the way, if you guys don't follow Bob Vandergriff Racing. And Jordan is active on Twitter as well, JT Vandergriff. But kind of cool that you've got those guys coming in. Josh, who is an ace in the alcohol ranks. And I don't know if you have any side-by-side runs against Josh. Sean Reed, drag boats. So there's like a kind of a lot of experience among the drivers in different aspects of racing.
Yes, super excited to have Sean and Josh come on board. I do have a head-to-head record against Josh. He beat me twice.
Oh,
so that's something that he can hang over my head a bit. But he was a great competitor. He was fun to. He's a really super nice guy. He was fun to race last year, and that top alcohol class is so stout with talent and good cars and he was just another one of those good cars. So we're glad to bring him in. I know what he's capable of for sure. And we're looking forward to that. And then Sean, he's another super nice guy. A lot of experience, obviously, driving for driving the last few years, and we're looking to, get some wins with those guys too.
Yes. Well, and the team proved last year that although the schedule may be limited, the ability to go out and compete, contend, take win lights, and win races is as good as anybody.
Yeah. I mean, last year was a dream year for us. We went out and competed at every race. We didn't lose the first round last year. We went to 11 races. We went 11-0 in the first round. So that's kind of unheard of for us. So, let alone anybody. So we're looking to build on that next year, especially with these two cars. And obviously, I want to win. So I want to win some races this year, and we're going to go out and try to do that.
That's a stat worth repeating. 11-0 in first rounds last year with Blake. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Now, as far as crew chief goes, Ron Douglas, who has got great experience, and I don't know, my impression of Ron is that he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He wants to go out there and get after it and prove something. And Joe Barlam coming over, and I know Joe was with your Uncle Bob for a lot of their success, and for Joe to go back, leaving DSR, that tells me something about the long term for this combination.
Yes. We're we run a good organization over here, and we have fun, and we obviously compete, and we're a good team, and everybody loves my Uncle Bob, So, Ron has a chip on his shoulder for sure, and it kind of translates to the rest of the team, because we all do. I mean, we're a part-time team coming out trying to hang with these guys like, DSR and JFR and these big-time operations. So we all have a chip on our shoulder, and Ron's kind of our leader. And then bringing Joe back, I mean, Joe is amazing. I mean, he is, a great guy and a great crew chief, super smart, and pairing him with Ron again, I mean, the sky's the limit for this year.
Yeah, I like Joe a whole lot, and not because I'm obligated to like all people named Joe, although more often than not, they are good people, just saying. But it's going to be very interesting to watch you go through that. Now, all right, let's we talked about 12 races, but you're definitely looking for more. I definitely want more. Where do you have this thing planned on starting? Pomona?
Right now, no, not Pomona. Right now, the original plan is to start at the Gator Nationals at the 50th. We're going to go to Phoenix Test. There's a possibility that my debut could be sooner than that, so sooner than the Gator Nationals. So I'm looking forward to that. Just stay tuned. I'm sure we'll announce something if that's the case. And regardless of where it's at, I'll be ready, and we'll go out there and try to win the race.
Yes, exactly. And, not to pry information out of you, because I would never do that. We just wait for you guys to announce. That's our thing here on WFO. But the car's going to be in Phoenix, Jordan. Just leave it there.
Yeah, that might have something to do with it.
There you go. All right, young athletes who come into sports of all kinds have challenges in finding their way. Like, some people come in like a big splash. They're brash. They're talking smack. They're wanting to let the world know that they're there. They're on Twitter. They're on Facebook. They're making a name for themselves. Others, the exact opposite. Silent, maybe even too silent, not wanting to make waves, not wanting to rock the boat, wanting to let their abilities speak for themselves. Where do you consider yourself? Where would you like to be if you could, carve it out for yourself?
Well, I don't know. I kind of live my life with a quiet confidence. At least I try to. So I know I have faith in my abilities, and I know that I want my abilities to speak for themselves. But at the same time, I am kind of outgoing, and I like to talk. So, I'd like to be. I just want to be myself, really. I want to go out there and not have to worry about too much, and just be myself, have fun, and say what's on my mind, and really that's really what I want to do this year.
That is great. Well, that's what everybody wants. That's what we need. And so many years ago, people were talking about like the corporate nature of so many drivers, and now we've got we've got Steve Torrance and J.R. Todd as our two champions, two guys that they say whatever's on their mind. Yeah,
I love both of those guys. J.R. actually drove for the BVR for a little bit back in the day, and yeah, Steve. I idolize Steve. Obviously, he's the champ. He's what you want to be in the sport right now. And I love the way he goes about things, and he just has he wants it all, and he'll let you know it.
That is cool. All right, let's get to know you a little bit more here, and I appreciate you coming on WFO Radio. So, favorite sport other than drag racing?
Baseball. Grew up playing baseball. It has a little piece of my heart for sure.
What team is your favorite baseball team?
I am a big Los Angeles Angels fan. Go Mike Trout. Love the Angels. They're my team. Will forever be my team.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Very good. Yeah, Trout. Well, it's easy to like him. He's like the best right now. How amazing is that guy?
Yeah.
What position did you play when you played?
I was an infielder, actually. I played shortstop growing up, and shortstop, second base toward the end of my high school career. So, I was always a middle infielder, I'd say.
That's great. Great position. A lot of action there. All right. Other than sports, what other things are you into? Do you, are you a movie guy? Are you a TV show guy? Do you like to cook? What is your, like on a general week, what are things that you like to do for entertainment?
Well, to tell you the truth, I am a sports guy through and through, to be honest. So, when I'm at home, taking a break, relaxing, I'll watch any sports game that's on, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, whatever's on. I'll be watching that, and then other than that, I'll I try to stay fit. I got to catch up to my Uncle Bob. He's quite the example. So I'm trying to catch up to him. I'll go work out almost every day. So that's really all I got. I live out here in Indiana now, working at the shop. So. That's a typical day for me.
How about that transition from California to Indiana? In January.
The weather is the biggest difference. I'm here, there's snow on the ground out here right now, and I'd never seen snow growing up until I was 16 years old when I went to the mountains, So it's been quite the transition for sure, but I enjoy it. I enjoy coming to work every day with Ron and Joe and all the guys. I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
That is awesome. All right, let me double back to your athleticism and athletics. You're from California. There's a California team going to the Super Bowl. What was your opinion of the pass interference no call in the championship game?
Well, I am a Rams fan, too.
I figured.
Rams fan. Big Todd Gurley fan. He's my guy. Love Todd Gurley. But my opinion on that call, it was definitely pass interference. It was a missed call. But, hey, I will take it, and we're going straight to the Super Bowl.
There you go. Well, that's all there is. It is, boy, there are some people that are upset down there in the Bayou, though. Bayou country. Not happy.
I understand. I'm sorry. I saw the call. I saw it with my eyes. He did get there early, but as a Rams fan, I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, right. Hey, the breaks, right? Those are the breaks. The breaks happen.
Yep.
They happen to everybody. When Derek Jeter hit that home run that the kid reached over and grabbed and pulled it over, and it was a home run, and everyone was like, hey, that's a fan interference. Those are the breaks. That's where that statement comes from.
It is. Yeah.
The breaks, though, in drag racing, we have a very pure sport. We don't have that happen too often.
No. You have to earn it. You have to earn every win. You have to earn every round. And it's quite different.
So we got fans out there who listen to WFO Radio and our podcast every week, and wondering hey man, maybe I could root for this kid. They're looking for someone new and fresh, and they're tired of the same names. And not that the same names are bad, by the way. I love the same names. They're the people who built the sport. But now you're going to be in there trying to help grow the sport as well. What do you want them to know about you, Jordan? When they walk away from this interview and they think, this kid, is there anything in particular that you want them to know when they see you in person at whatever national event they're going to?
See, I would just want them to know that the new generation's coming in. It's our time to take over the sport, and I'm ready to assist any way I can, and I think that I'm gonna have fun doing it. I want the fans to have fun doing it. I want the fans, any fan who wants to come say hi. I'll be more than happy to talk to you at the ropes, and I'm just looking forward to this new era of drag racing that I think we're gonna embark on here pretty soon. I'm
excited to hear you position it that way, because I think it needs to be spoken about that way. Hey, we've got this new group of young faces that hopefully, Jordan, you can bring a new group of young fans. And you seem to be pretty interactive on the Twitter and other social media and eager to do that. Can you do that? Like, can you bring in, help bring in a new generation of young people? You know, a lot of people are saying, you know, oh, kids don't like cars, or kids don't want to look up from their devices, or kids blah, 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 blah. What say you about that?
Yeah, of course I think I could do that. I mean, I think I have a way, you know, almost bridge that gap. I could bridge that gap instead of two generations being out of sync. I think I can bridge the younger generation with the older one. And I think that my personality and attitude toward everything will be able to, you know, it's just something new. And I think the kids are getting interested into cars these days. And I see that the style these days, everybody wants to wear racing clothes, like old NASCAR jackets or old NHRA jackets. I see it all the time now in the kids, you know, from 15 to 20 years old, they're all wearing it. So I think there is potential to bridge that gap, and I'm going to try my best to do it.
That is great. Jordan, thank you for coming on WFO Radio. I really appreciate it. Your first appearance, I know it won't be your last. You know, our thing is that the drivers win their way on the show. And if you don't know, that's kind of our thing. So if you win, being on to debrief following the victory is just part of the business. And I am looking forward to that moment whenever it happens, judging by your team and the people you've got around you. It may happen this year. I'm certainly hoping the best for you. Thank you for coming on our show and, submitting to the questions. You did a great job.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jordan. Jordan Vandergriff with us here on WFO Radio. Watched him working on the crew in 2018, was out at many races whenever they were at the track, and, seems like a great young kid, and I like what he just said. Like, the next generation is coming, and he's part of it, and we're here, and we want to make our way, but also have the greatest of respect for everything that has happened, but now want to be involved. And I think it's great. And where was it? I was at the Auto Club Finals, and I'm standing on the starting line. I'm pretty sure it was the Auto Club Finals. And wherever it was, I guess the last race from Vandergriff, came up and just told me an ET. It's going to go this, 73, whatever it was. And bang, right up on the board. And I thought that was cool. Number one, I appreciated the fact that he wanted me to know what he thought it was going to go. That was number one. He doesn't have to even think about what I think about it's going to go. But he did. He put it in my ear, and it went it. And I thought, yeah, these guys are good. And Ron Douglas, he's one of those characters where he's totally in the zone. He's got an intensity about him. I just get the impression that every time he goes out there, he's trying to prove something. He's making a statement. And that's what we need. And so Jordan's going to be out there behind the wheel. And I really hope that they can get him on the track as soon as possible. Of course, it has to do with licensing and getting everything, nailed down. But thanks to Jordan for coming on the show. And the fact that Tim Brown, Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner, may be at some races and certainly supporting the team, I think that is great as well. Thanks to Jordan for coming on the show. And fans of Jordan, subscribe to WFO Radio, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. So when he wins his first race, you won't miss it. Yeah, exactly.
This is WFO Radio.